Let's take a look at how to push a woman onto the bed like a wild medical show. Then, injecting her with that awful medicine, never thought about her feelings. That's when the subordinate started to get. House already had the answer, just waiting for actors. No one anticipated his next move would leave everyone speechless. In the morning, the 8-year paralyzed guy decided to perform dive-in and nearly drowned. Thankfully, he was hospitalized in time. House found his wife and started babbling nonsense, suggesting her husband was better off dead. You just know she wanted to slap him. Of course, the wife didn't want to toss her husband aside, but House wouldn't stop, gazing at the man's reaction like a hungry cat. He twisted the facts, claiming the lady didn't want to care for her husband. She was just exhausted and eager to take him home. She positioned her husband's hand on her shoulder, ready to lift him up. But it was House who noticed something was off. With all his rich medical knowledge, he rushed to the bedside like a hunter, asking the man to repeat that seemingly ordinary line, even if it sounded like a gurgle. But that gurgled sound was the answer House yearned for. His plan was finally taking shape. He spent all night cataloguing cases while his subordinates yawned, feeling it pointless. The hospital boss was dissatisfied, thinking House was torturing his subordinates for fun. He said this was just the beginning. The subordinates grumbled while organizing information, and through comparison, House speculated that the man might have a cyst somewhere and wanted to do an endoscopy. His subordinates thought he was out of his mind. After all, the guy had been paralyzed for 8 years. Doing an endoscopy was a massive risk. But House was determined and disregarded consequences, forcing his subordinates to comply. Their endoscopy caused the man's throat to collapse, a disaster. Reluctantly, they had to cut the man's trachea. Yet, even then, House was making excuses, showing he was really wanted. He insisted that it was not a throat collapse but a brain issue, also suggesting an imaging test. At this point, the subordinates were speechless. So they insulted him, calling House a devil who tortured humans for his curiosity. But he was stubborn as a mule. Soon, brain scans showed no issues. They caused his ear to bleed. After many mistakes, House still refused to admit he was wrong. He insisted that the man's brain had to have a problem and demanded another brain scan. As a result, his subordinates went on strike. Because staying quiet felt worse than murder, House turned to the dean for help, who called him a madness without medical ethics. The dean, unwilling to run any more experiments, arranged for the man to be discharged the next morning at 7. Hearing this, House began to doubt his own abilities. After hearing he'd run 30 km and jumped into a fountain. What a character. Suddenly, this wild act sparked an idea. It led him to the dean's office to declare the man's condition was downfall brain. Everyone stared at him in disbelief. With just a corticosteroid shot, the man could recover, but the dean refused to experiment further, giving House a sharp remark. The next day, they surprisingly finished the discharge paper for the man early. However, seeing the broken family left House feeling a bit unsympathetic. He simply acted and injected the man with the pre-prepared corticosteroid quick in the draw. Then he awaited the results of the checkup. The dean left in despair. However, at that moment, the man's hand suddenly started to tremble, followed by his throat. What left everyone jaw-dropped was that he managed to unbuckle his seatbelt. Then, in front of shocked onlookers, the guy who had been paralyzed for 8 years shook. At that moment, the dean realized House had actually been right all along. It was just a detail that needed reconfiguring. Just when he was about to inform House, Wilson stopped him, claiming it was all House's luck, insisting that healing couldn't rely on luck. Occasionally disappointing House wasn't bad. So before bed, the boy's mom locked the door as if to thwart pranks. To be extra cautious, the boy would recheck the windows were shut tight before daring to turn on the TV, letting that faint light. But then, something strange happened. The TV started switching channels on its own, waking him up in a panic. Even crazier, the chandelier above began dancing on its own, and even his glasses seemed to come alive, spinning around. The scariest part was the window seemed to be violently hit, and a beam of bright light rushed in, as if it wanted to consume him whole. The next morning, they found him passed out in the yard, his back covered in blood. His parents were instantly filled with worry. The boy quietly told the doctor, claiming an alien had implanted a tracker in the back of his neck. The doctor just looked puzzled. His mom quickly warned him not to make things up. While the doctor checked his neck, nothing seemed off. Everyone thought the boy was just talking nonsense and neglected it completely. But when the doctor turned back, he saw the boy had sneaked out while his mom was asleep. He found a knife and hid in the bathroom, planning to extract that tracker himself. When the doctor found him, he was covered in blood, crying that if he didn't remove it, the aliens would catch him. Cleaning his blood, the doctor denied aliens' existence, but suddenly noticed something sliding out of the wound. It turned out to be the silicone that was implanted when the boy broke his arm at 3. As for why it ended up in his neck, everyone found it unbelievable. Even stranger, his previous test showed he had a bleeding disorder, but this time his blood coagulated normally. The doctor prepared to retest, only to see the boars are mutated at a visible rate. And the doctor before him morphed into an alien. Boar's unusual condition triggered urgent alarms. He developed pulmonary edema and hypertension, prompting doctors to rush him into the ICU for treatment. Considering the boy's blood test results, House suspected the problem was with his heart. Yet, after the ultrasound, it revealed the heart was fine. House thought the screen was too small, so he designed a big TV, but saw nothing. Turning a wall into a projector, he finally spotted an active heart muscle. He took a sample from the heart muscle, only to find that this DNA was completely different from the rest of the body. This wasn't a movie plot, it was happening for real. Thus, the examination found abnormal tissues in the boy's bones and eyes, leading to targeted removals and continuing this bizarre story.